G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm not going to be holding the phone for long like this. I just wanted to show you something. My soldering iron's still asleep. My multimeter was still left turned on. I know it's gone to sleep, but it plugged into the supply. Power supply is still on. My computer's still on. The screen's put itself in standby, I think. I went to sleep last night, and I wake back up, and I was back. I don't know if you call it asleep, but I would call it a light trance. I was basically like just dreaming, thinking. What's the best way to explain this? I went to bed and laid down thinking about this. Ended up kind of dreaming about it, and then getting back up at 3 o'clock in the morning with all these ideas. And so I spliced some of that footage together with earlier footage, and I uploaded that video. But it's really good that I did that, because I've come in here today and now I know exactly how everything works in here, or almost how everything works. Like I've traced out the driver stage. These pots actually are for calibration. I traced out where they go back to, so they will work now. The reason that they had no effect before is they go to these resistors, which go to these two opamps. So they are for some sort of calibration. Maybe those two opamps just do the meters, I don't know, but they're there for something and they will work now. The reason they didn't work before is because I had everything wired up wrong. Last night, something quite annoying happened. After I was doing testing on it, I put it all back together, and lo and behold, the slave or right side, whatever you want to call it, only turns up to 16 volts now. You know how it goes up to 30, and then if you keep turning it up, it goes too high. It's got that problem. Sorry, I'm just looking for a brush. So I thought, oh God, and let me just point out, when I'm sorry, this brush has just disappeared. I have a plastic bristle brush I need right now and I can't find it. Let me just finish what I'm saying. As soon as that happened, I knew what was up, because every time I press on these boards, I hear cracking sounds of, you know, if I push on a component, it really pops it off the board. And plus there's a whole load of old resistors on here, so I've either cracked an old school resistor or cracked a trace or a solder joint somewhere, like one of the old ones, obviously not one of the new ones that I've done. So that is why I'm looking for a brush, because this is filthy and I need to clean it up. I think I'm gonna have to pause the video. This is ridiculous. I don't understand how my brush is gone. We'll be back in a minute, guys. Alright, I found the brush. Cleaning solvent, no. Circuit board cleaner, yes. Circuit board cleaner is cleaning solvent, but it's also got stronger solvents to remove flux and other things. And it is amazing. If you want to clean this sort of stuff up, you'd be scrubbing for ages with IPA. You flood the board with this stuff and go to town on it. It literally just disappears. Now this one might take a while, because this is old flux and it's been burnt on there, but we'll still give it a bit of a clean up first, because I need to have a really fine inspection of the traces and joints and stuff like that. It also make all the solder work I do flow it a lot better, having everything clean, because it will remove a little bit of oxidation off the traces. Actually quite a lot. You'd be surprised. This stuff works quite well. Also, if there's any contamination and build-ups, say in between the input pins of an op-amp, that's obviously going to cause offset problems. This will clear that up too. Not just doing this, because you're sort of spreading it around everywhere, but after I do this, what I do is I spray IPA over it and hold the board up vertically, and then what that does is it rinses all this contaminated stuff off. I think everybody can see how clean it's coming up. Sorry about that, guys. My phone just ran out of storage. And it stopped recording mid-video. So I've just deleted a few things in the recycle bin, which is enough for me to do this. So anyway, as I was saying, I'm pretty sure it's this board here. It could be the other board, but I mean, given the condition of the traces and everything on this board and all those old resistors that run hot and could break real easy, I'd be more tempted to say that my problem is on this board. The problem with the right channel only going to 16 volts now. I'm just going to go flush this down with some IPA, and I'll be back in a moment. Wow, you should have seen the colour of the liquid that came off of it. It was literally a reddish orange. Wow. That board was heavily contaminated. Not just by flux, but I mean like the burnt stuff and everything. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that actually solves a few problems. Seriously. Alright, so now I can actually get a good view here. That trace was already lifted, I already knew about that. It's not broken. I ain't going to come back and everything that's, slightly buggered, I will do something about it. So, I'm not actually seeing anything that's jumping out at me. It's right when I press in the middle of the board that it goes from working to not working to working to not working. Wait, which channel am I looking at? So it's this side. So something on this side of the board has a break. I just realised I've got something. I keep leaving it on the floor and I keep forgetting about it. I literally I got this specifically to help with my recording. You guys are going to love this. I did actually show it to you in another video.
Hey Dave.
Hey mate.
How are you, brother?
Yeah, good, thank you. I'm just doing a YouTube video. Just give me a moment, man. I'll let you in. Sorry, guys. I'll be back in a minute. Sorry about that, guys. One of my mates just came over. He works at a local bakery, and he drops over these pita toasties for me and my missus, and we love them. I just got a fresh bag of pita toasties. Anyways, as I was saying, I got something that's going to help us greatly here. Check this out. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of putting that. I've had this in here ready to use for this purpose for far out, man. I can't even think how long. The thing is, I put it on the floor and I keep forgetting it's on the floor. And then every time I do a video, I don't know, it evades my mind. Apart from one video when I was trying to look into that Yamaha mixer and I picked it up to have a look in there. But other than that, I've forgotten it every time. So, everyone let me know in the comments section, please, if that's helpful way. I might be able to put it in a better spot. Not so much for my convenience, but just so the camera. Yeah, that's more even for you guys, isn't it? It looks to me like this half of the screen was brighter at first than this half, and now it looks pretty even. Oh yeah, that's wonderful. Alright, sorry, I'm just going to unplug this and just run this cable around the side because it's... Ow! Fume extractor just got my hand. It's looped in, I've just looped it around my soldering gun and grounding cable and a whole load of bunch of stuff on my bench. That's in the way. Alright, now it's not in the way. Beautiful. Alright. That should keep everybody happier. So, seeing as I can't really see anything on here, sometimes when you fix a trace by putting solder over it, it cracks. But I have ridiculously good eyesight, and I'm not trying to be, you know, a cocky cunt, but I just have really good hearing and really good eyesight, so there's solder on the board there. And I can't see it. So what I'm suspecting is one of the old original solder joints that I haven't reflowed. Basically a pin's formed corrosion in between the outside of the pin and the solder, and even though there's solder around it, it's not making contact. A prime example of what that is, there's some joints on here that are like that. It's just hard to point them out. I'll put my soldering iron on and I'll show you. But a lot of these resistor standoffs that hold the power resistors, because they get hot, they've oxidized, and there's not many places that solder wants to take to them. If it was any worse, I'd actually take them out and have to sand them up, polish them to, you know, get the solder to take enough. But there's still enough good area on there for it. So anyway, as I was saying, I really can't see it. None of the board-to-board interconnects are like open up too wide or anything. Actually, some of them are. You know what? I'm just going to reset the tolerances on these because all these front ones one's got a bit of crud in it. Oh no. Something in between one of these board-to-board interconnects, and it's not coming out. Okay, well that was certainly strange. because I have been taking this thing in and out and in and out and in and out. So, you know, it stands to reason that these things could develop wider tolerances and form poor connections. Alright, she's looking schmick. I'm just going to have a look at the traces on this board too, see if I can see something broken. I don't see anything broken, but I'll tell you what, it needs a clean up too. And we'll do the same thing. I really need a bigger lab. Even doing stuff like this, it's flicking it all over stuff in the surrounding area. If I had a bigger workbench area, that wouldn't be a problem. It's just too crowded in here. I really got to do a bit more work, save up some money and renovate this room. Need to mount stuff on walls and sort out all my component storage better and make bigger, wider workbenches, more shelves on top of them for equipment, all that sort of jazz. Hey, no, it's not a toilet. Hey, no! Cat was trying to scratch on a box of wires like it was a dirt box, and then it went to my power supply, the one I've designed myself, and was about to do its usual trick and rip wires out. One of the kittens, should I say. They're very cute, but they can be very annoying. I guess you guys can actually get a way better view of all my connections now as I'm clearing this up. I'm starting to see it better. Maybe if I did that in the first place, it wouldn't have screwed up so much as well. I'm sorry if this is taking a while, but I mean, it's a very old, dirty, crusty board. Could you imagine trying to do it with IPA? Be there for like 10 hours. Alright, that'll do. I'm just going to go flush that down with some IPA. I gotta flush the front side down quickly because the IPA went through and made a mess with the front side. I got cleaning solvent. I got the same products on both sides of the workshop, if you're wondering. looks much better. But I still don't see anything broken, so I think what we're going to have to do is put the two boards together again, put it in the power supply. I'll bring the power supply on the camera, and we'll just start pushing on things until we hopefully find what it is. I didn't notice that. That's just the cleaning solvent drying, but this board I got to clean the front of this quickly because some of the crap ran through to the front. Can't leave that on there. Actually, a lot of the crap ran to the front. Wow, that was dirty. Okay. I was going to go take the hot air to them because the spray can make them cold. Water condensation's building up on them and we don't want that. Alright. That white appearance stuff, it's not conductive, it's just a cleaning solvent. Because I did some of the washing off of IPA and then I washed the tops off with cleaning solvent. It just leaves a white residue. It's not conductive, don't worry. When I'm completely finished this project, I will probably clean it all up and make it look pretty. Alright, back to the supply. I've already got the meter plugged in the right side, as you can see. Like I said, I've got to fix this problem first because the right side's only going up to 16 volts at the moment, and when I press on a certain area it comes back. So obviously got to address that before I can finish diagnosing anything else, you know. Yep, see what I'm saying? That's the current, that's nothing to do with the current. If I turn the current all the way down, you'll lose voltage once I turn it completely down. it's not that. And interestingly, if you put it into dual mode and then turn up the other supply, it works. So there's just one broken something. So we'll work that out now. And I'll press on the board. It's not happening now. That's interesting. What? I'm going to take voltages and see if we've got any missing voltages. It's a possibility that one of the rails is missing on one of the opamps. 10. 3.3. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. Wow. All the zeners except for one zener on the side that's got a problem is reading 3.3. And you just can't see. It's this zener right here in this corner. Wait, what? That was just reading 3.3. I swear to God, that was just reading. Sorry, it's this one here. Okay. $19 volts across that resistor. What's across this one? 18. Check the next one. -5. I'm just having a quick gaze to see if I've cracked one of these old school resistors and it's open, which would be really apparent by a completely different voltage drop across it. What was that? Yeah. Interesting. The 1Ks have got about 20 volts on them. Oh no. Well, we know where it is, so let's put the... Oh, can you get out of here? I'm trying to work. Let's put the bananas back in. I'm going to start pressing on that section of the board and see if it comes back. That's interesting. I just want to see if my reference voltage is here. Yeah. Okay, well, we know it's that zener, so I guess, seeing as we know where to look, we're just going to have to take it out and see what we find. But something's pulling that voltage down. Now, hold on a minute. I do remember with the bottom board disconnected, some zeners didn't have their full rail on them. I wonder if it's a board-to-board interconnect issue or if it's actually... Oh, man. This is annoying because you know what I wanted to do today after I got... You have seen the last video, the thing's working. It's just got a little oscillation problem, which I know exactly what it is. And I was going to fix that, which will inherently fix another problem it's got. The current limits being a little bit off at the moment are probably due to the fact that the current op-amps are in oscillation. So when I fix the oscillation problem, that'll probably go away, and then we'll just have that problem with the voltage on one side going too high. Anyway, it's that zener there. Wait, what? It doesn't connect to anything. Oh, okay. I see. It's very odd. I didn't see a trace of anything broken there. If anything, the other side looks worse to me. And the zener is right there, those two pins. Sorry if my head's in the way, but I can't exactly get a close, good look at the board without being close to it. I might have to pause the video and go over this and just come back when I find it. I'm going to have to start buzzing out traces and yeah, pins to traces and all sorts of awkward stuff. Yeah, okay. I'll leave the video here for now. Okay, so I just want to point one thing out first. This is hilarious. When I had a look at the board, the unused channels, I'd actually put the resistor the wrong way. It was right the first time, so I corrected that. But that's not causing any of the problems anyway. That wasn't making the op-amps use extra current or oscillate or anything like that. Anyways, remember on this top board, we had 10 volts on this zener, 10 volts on this, 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 10 on this, and 3.3 on there. And I said when I pressed on the board, it came back to 10. Well, I don't know that it came back to 10. Sorry, the output would only go up to 16 volts, and when I pressed on the board, it would come back up to whatever it was at, 30, 45, if it was up there. Anyway, when I measured the voltage this morning, this zener had 3.3 volts on it, around that ballpark. This one had 10. And here's where it gets strange. I took the boards out, thickened up a little bit more solder around this burnt section, you know, like reforming traces that are screwed. Now there's 3.3 volts on this zener. Now here's the odd thing. This is the channel that works, and it's still working. How is it working when one of the zeners has only got 3.3 volts on it? So that's led me to wonder now, when I was pressing on the board, maybe a couple of the opamps are oscillating, and I was just happening to touch something that connected to one of the inputs, and it was adding capacitance, and it was taking it out of oscillation, and it was working. And over time, the oscillations destroyed that opamp and the other opamp and pulled down two of the rails. And the reason I say this is because I've tested every single resistor on the board. They all have their values. I've traced every single trace. Can't find a single break. I sat there and powered it on and tried pressing in all different spots. I can't get it to do that now where it was doing it yesterday. So I'm really starting to believe that that wasn't a break, but I already knew the op-amps were oscillating, and I thought it was the ones for the constant current. But I've noticed something. Remember when I turned the current up, the current control worked, but when the voltage was turned down and I turn up just a little bit, the current would go up like 4 amps, and if I turn the voltage up a little bit more, the constant current would work. Right? Well, this op-amp and this op-amp, sorry, I crossed this out because I thought I had it labelled wrong, and I actually had it labelled correct. U is voltage, for those that are wondering. I is current. I hope I got that right. I always get things muddled up. Anyway, so there's the OR gate. This is the slave channel. This is the master channel. This is the op-amp that takes care of the voltage. This is the current. Anyway, when I traced back those 3.3 volt zener, the 10 volt zeners only have 3.3 volts on them. Guess where they go back to? This here, the cathode of the OR gate, specifically which goes to the output of the voltage op-amp. Guess what else I've noticed? You know the LM301s had their own compensation capacitors? Well, they had two different value capacitors, right? They had 120s. And I think the other ones were 60s. Yeah, 68. You know what I reckon? This capacitor here, this is across the inputs on the current op-amp. I don't think this is the one that's oscillating. And because it happens only when the voltage is at a certain spot. And if you look at this op-amp, there's no compensation capacitor. I think they had 68 picofarads on the current op-amp, less compensation because they compensated its inputs, and 120 picofarads on the voltage op-amp. because its inputs don't have a compensation capacitor. So what I think's happened is these two op-amps have destroyed themselves. They've been oscillating and oscillating and oscillating until probably the output stage in them, that's something in them, I'd say. I'm taking a guess here, but I'd say that something's shorted in them. So what I'm going to do, this is the voltage op-amp on each side, and this is its output, this blue wire that goes to the OR gate, which actually goes back to that zener that normally has 10 volts on it. So what I'm going to do is, well, I'm waiting for my soldering iron to come up to temp, and that tip looks disgusting. This is why I have the wet sponge, the brass wool, and the tip tinner. Because you see, yeah, give me 1 minute. Sorry about that. Yeah, so here's what I'm going to do. Now that my soldering tip is looking like a tip again, I'm going to disconnect the op-amp's output from that OR gate and get rid of that yucky solder because it's yucky. And I'll just leave the wire just where it can't, touch anything. Right. Now, let's put them back together again. And let's see if those zeners have 10 volts on them. Because if they do, I'm going to say that those op-amps destroyed themselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace them, and we'll add some compensation to the inverting and non-inverting inputs. I do understand they have internal compensation, but it works in a slightly different way. I'm just going to move a few things around. I'll pause the video so I don't waste your time. Oh, and I just want to point out, if anyone knows this clip lead here, I'll get to why that was there in a minute. That played a crucial role in this. Just give me a sec. Alright, I know you guys can't see the power switch at the front, but I mean, obviously it's not going to be voltage present inside if it's turned off, right? Okay, let's put it like that. It's better for you guys. So I'll turn it on. Just want to have a quick look what's on the outputs. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Which is good news, because that tells me that I am definitely correct about those being the voltage op-amps. I think we've solved the last problems, guys. Well, the oscillation problem and the current being off, I think we've solved that. By the way, I found a couple of resistors that are a little bit out of spec. We're going to change them, set the trim pots, and I reckon the current limits will be perfect once we solve this oscillation problem. I think we're still going to have one problem left. You know how the slave side, the voltage goes up too high? I think we're still going to have to address that. I'm on AC. 7.71 volts. Would you look at that? 7.68. That still seems dragged down. But at the same time, actually no, I just disconnected that from the output of an op-amp. They're both exactly the same. 7.7. 7.7. Maybe they're biased just enough with a resistor to be almost at the knee point or whatever you want to call it of the diode, and then when the op amp comes up it brings it to 10 volts and limits it there, and maybe the op amps are pulling down instead of adding the extra current to it. I haven't traced that part of the circuit out much, but you can clearly see instead of 3.3 and 3.3 volts after I've disconnected the outputs of those op amps, we don't have that problem. That's really interesting. My panel meters are reading over 30 volts. Oh. Right. Okay. It's those op amps. Okay, I get what's going on there. I'm right. Those zeners are slightly biased with a resistor and the op amp's doing the rest. And that controls the output voltage, as you can see. Well, you know what? I think I've just hit it on the head. I think I know what's wrong now. This actually might solve the other problem with the output voltage going too high too. There's a good chance that I just, by luck, buggered one op amp before the other, and that's why. But I wouldn't be surprised if it is something else, seeing as it already had that problem before. Oh. At least this is old school stuff. Like I said, it can be a headache sometimes like this, but it's not like you can't fix it. I mean, every component can literally be replaced. Every trace can be remade up. Like, no matter how bad it gets, you can remake the board. You know what I mean? Like, you can't not fix it. So that's why I'm putting the effort into it, because although it's really annoying, once this thing's fixed, this will last, you know, probably longer than me. I mean, it might need new capacitors before I die, but, you know, it's worth the time. Oh, and the other thing I've got to do quickly, I thought this is really cool. So they did put output reverse parallel protection diodes. That's these two diodes here. I've measured them. They go straight to the outputs across the outputs like an anti-parallel. I'm going to remove them and add them to my stash because they're good. And, well, having a diode that's got faster switching characteristics than those and is closer to the output is going to do a better job of clamping spikes than something that's further down the wire, which has got inductance and resistance to it, right? So I'll leave my diodes on the front and I'll remove those diodes. There's no point in having two lots of diodes in there. Is that you, Lewis?
Yeah, bro.
One sec.
Yeah.
I'll be back in a sec, guys. Sorry about that. I'm telling you guys, I'm getting under an immense amount of stress. I've got two or three people, or three people. One's not going to be a video because I'm going to go around their house and fix the bike for them. The other two people want me to fix stuff for them, and I've got an amplifier mix on my desk, a desk and a power supply I'm building on the floor, and then this desk full of this power supply. So I don't know how I'm going to get through everything. I really need to hurry up and get this finished. Alright, so where was I? Oh man, I hate it when I go off topic. Oh, right. Before I do anything else, I'm going to pull these diodes out. like I said, any opportunity I get to save old components, I keep them, because when I want to build something and I want it to have like original components in it, well, you know, it's hard to come across original components that are still working, right? So if you can get them for free, get them. Also, like I said, what I'm doing is giving it better clamping protection anyway than what these are doing further down the circuit and with their characteristics. So it's not a downgrade at all, it's actually an upgrade. Okay, so there's nothing wrong on this board, I don't think. I'm just looking at it thinking, man, imagine if like another trace busted open at the same time, or not exactly the same time, but you know what I mean. And I left a bit of solder there ready to short to something else. Obviously I'll clean these boards up again because I've been working on it and adding more flux to it. But yeah, okay. Let's take these 2 voltage opamps off. I'll be quite honest with you. At first I was like, oh, I've fried everything. I've got to take all the opamps off again. And almost lost all my motivation for it. And then I started tracing out where those zeners went. And I realised it was literally just these opamps. And I was like, I can do 2 more. The traces aren't buggered in this particular area too much either, so it's still a headache to work with, but what do you do, right? I know there's no point in trying to move the hold on, let me just give me 1 second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put these wires back first and disconnect them at the op-amp end, because I've got to disconnect them at the op-amp end anyway. And if I disconnect both ends at the same time, then I'll just have wires floating around, and I don't even want to risk putting something on in the wrong spot again. I've done enough of that. So we'll take them off at the op-amp. So what I'll do is I'll put 2 new op-amps in, and I'll put, say, just to be on the safe side, I'll start at 10 nanofarads. I know that's ridiculous. It's going to slow it down a shit ton. Just to start, right? And I'll slowly reduce it and see how things behave. I might do a few calculations and start with something a lot lower. You know, I don't know. I might try it and start with 1 nanofarad and go smaller. Okay. Ah, bloody. I just realised what I did then. I'm not supposed to be taking the parts off this one. God, I'll be glad when the next 2 weeks are over. Me and my missus, like I said, we've got to go to court, get one last thing sorted out, and as soon as that's done, she'll be back here. She'll be able to help me do things. I'm trying to start a business at the moment, so it's impossible. Like you guys that don't have businesses or haven't started a business probably don't have half a clue of what's involved in it. I don't mean that in a rude way whatsoever, trust me. It's just it's very time consuming, and if you're trying to start a YouTube channel, take care of 13 cats that live in your house, and you have to clean the house all the time. You have to go to work to make money. My life is very hectic, and then I'm trying to find time, fit in time for like training, because I like to get bike riding and stuff. Like, as I mentioned in a previous video, I think I messed around with drugs when I was younger and screwed up a lot of my health, and nowadays I just like to, keep active, eat healthy, focus on my fitness, all that sort of stuff. Because I want to live a good future. I'm just going to get some water for my, I have a water bottle here to fill up my sponge. Actually, I want to give credit to someone else. That I watch his channel a little bit, and look, I'm not going to lie, sometimes I watch the guy's videos and I'm like, man, you don't really know what you're doing when it comes to electronics as a subject, if that makes sense. Like this, what I'm doing. But for what he does, fixing consoles, I'm talking about the coder. I just want to stick my head out there and say kudos to you, congratulations, however you say it over there. I know that you mentioned that you had a previous life which involved, I think you said crime. I'd imagine that possibly involved drugs as well. And you turned your life around, and now you do what I do. And I just want to say congratulations to you. And, anyone out there that's watching, it's in the same situation, don't think it's not possible, because I can tell you now, I wasn't in a pretty situation, and I'm here now. So if I can do it, the coder can do it, and I'm sure lots of other people have done it. Don't ever give up. I think I might be getting blocked up. I forgot to clean this out last night. Yeah, I forgot to clean it out last night. Hey, there was a solder bridge there. I don't know if I created that myself with when I was taking the wires off, or with this, or if it was already there. What side's that? Huh, the slave, the one that doesn't work. Can you imagine? Oops, I just sucked up a pad. Oh no, it's on the end. Good, good, good. And yeah, the single pads that are going missing, the unused pads, that's why I'm being rough with those. We only need literally, like, just a couple of tracks that you can see that are there, and the 2 wires, that's it. The rest of it's all either just disconnected or missing. Come back to the other one. Try not to damage these just in case they're actually not buggered. But I'll test these on a breadboard. I've got ways of testing them. And I'll find out exactly what the deal is with them. Also, we will know when we put this together with new ones and compensation capacitors, because it'll work or it won't work. Okay. TL072s, right? TL072s. Calling TL072s, where are ya? Huh? Oh. Well, here's the other 2 from that pack of 10 that I put 2 back in the drawer. End up using all 10, that'll be funny. Yes, the dot's still on the board, so I know what code to put it in. Though I will inspect these bits of wire where they've been going backwards and forwards, and if it looks like they're getting weak and strands are starting to break, I will most definitely strip them back and resolder them. For those that are watching that and getting a little bit worried, don't worry. You gotta be kidding me. Now my neighbour's knocking on my door. I can't work like this. I've got to go like really, really soon. But I'm too curious to see what's going to happen here. I just realised I left this on. So I'll just solder a couple of pins so it can't fall out, and we'll go and add solder balls. Oops. I hate these old boards that don't have that coating on it. The solder likes to stick to it. Trying to drip a little bit of solder onto this one pin that's got no pad, so I can connect the wire to it. I think a resistor goes there, I can't remember. Work that out in a second. Thought that trace looked a bit funny. Alright, pin 8's our positive, I know that. It's our positive. Now, it's our negative. These are our two inputs, so that's our output. Oh, you just copy the other op amp. That's one output. That's the other output. Point 1, 100 nanofarad decoupling capacitor. I know it is clearance, but whenever I see a pin that's just got a little bit too smaller of a tolerance for my liking, I like to just move it out the way that little bit. And I watch a lot of repair videos online, and I see people like, you know, repairing traces and stuff, and they just stick stuff everywhere and don't really put any thought into, like, you know, how long it's going to last down the future. Things look like they're about to short and will short in the future. It's just like, I don't know. I can't agree with that. Okay, so I need to bridge my negative input to the output, which would be just two, and those two. And we're going to stick a 10k resistor from the positive input to ground, or it's a split supply, the negative rail. Basically all it's doing is creating a voltage follower, but because it's got complete feedback and no input, it just makes the output stay in a steady state where it's not doing anything, if that makes sense. So the op amp doesn't consume any current. That's the main reason we do it. The other main reason is to stop it from oscillating. You know, if you leave inputs floating on a board, they might be attached to traces, they might be near something that radiates some sort of signal. Some op-amps are just that sensitive, it doesn't even need to be near anything. But leaving inputs floating can cause it to break out into oscillation. And like I said, at the very least, excessive current draw, because voltages build up on the inputs over time, sort of capacitively, statically, however, and that then makes the output try and do things, and so the op-amp consumes more current. There's a lot of reasons why we do stuff like this with unused op-amp inputs. Right, let me just make sure my eyes are all the same. Okay. Now, compensation capacitors. Interestingly enough, you can see a space on the board here, right in that. So see that capacitor there on the current one. See that line that goes under? The capacitor goes from there straight to the positive input, and the other end of it goes to the negative input. The trace is already there for this op-amp. I think what they did is they just put a slightly bigger compensation capacitor and eliminated that. But now we're using this op-amp, we're going to have to add that. Let me just go look at my cap selection. I'll be back in a sec. Oh, I've been doing some thinking, and something doesn't add up to me, because I've got a lot of power supplies and I design power supplies, and usually what you do on the constant current op-amp is you compensate the input with a very small value capacitor, and the constant voltage one, you compensate it not between its inputs but between you create a negative feedback path that's only AC, an AC negative feedback path, by putting a resistor from the negative input to the output, not between the inputs. Wait, this, no way. Oh, I see. Yeah, right. So what I'm thinking is going on here, and I'll show you why. Let me get this up. No, it wasn't. Yes, LM301A schematic. So what I think I'm right in doing this too. Not putting the cap across the inputs, because remember how I said their compensation capacitor was hooked up. It was across the balance and the compensation pin, right? Now if we look at which balance pin it was on the one that's next to the negative input, right? So that leads me to believe that they were basically compensating, maybe not from the output, but from the output of one of the stages inside it to the compensation pin. I got a funny feeling what I'm trying to get at here basically is, with the modern day op-amp, what I'm going to do to start off with, I've grabbed a couple of 47 picofarad polyester caps. Well, I got my numbers wrong. I always get confused counting zeros. One sec. Sorry, 47 nanofarad. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it in between the output and the negative input. Let me just make sure these are the right pins. Now, negative input right next to each other, yeah. So those two holes. If the traces are there on both of them. They are. How lucky. Alright. Soldering iron's gone to sleep. I'll just hit pause for 30 seconds. Soldering iron's heated up. So we'll put these in. Lucky for me, I've still got plenty more. Sorry guys, I just bumped the camera. Opamps I can stick in here. Probably still got like another 12 TL072s and probably just as many TL082s and I've got enough. I've got AP87s, heaps of them too. Well, I think that's what I'm going to do for now. Let's just clean up around the area. I'm not going to give it a full-on clean. But just, especially the opamp I worked on, but just around both of these opamps I want to give them a little bit more clean because you can still see a little bit of crap there. And also I want to remove all the flux residue and crap so I can see if there's any solder bridges underneath that, between pins. It's not bridged, but oh, I see it's the resistor. It was a little bit close to the other pin for my liking. Yeah, I'm much happier with that. I do realise that is not the op-amp that I just did work on. I just was looking at all of them like I said. Make sure there's no bridges. Alright, I'm happy. Oh, I didn't think about that. Those green caps. We ain't gonna fit. All right. Oh, that was a screw popping through the hole. I thought it was lined up already. Let's make sure the pins are. Yep. All pins are lined up. All board clearances are correct. Nothing is touching. Alright. My soldering, my multimeter leads, my solder and my soldering iron were all simultaneously handed together. Right. Where are my voltages set at? Full? Okay, what do we get? Oh, yeah, they jumped all the way up to full. Hey, I think I hit that on the nail. My opamps compensated. I threw them into oscillation, they destroyed themselves. Let's see if we got 10 volts back on these zeners. 3. Although the output of those zeners do go to OR gates. So I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe there's some condition where, I don't know, it has to port high to turn something off. Maybe that's supposed to be like that. Hold on, let's just see what the outputs are doing. Does this only go up to 16 volts? Really? Oh. What? No, you're all seeing that. Still got the 16 volt problem. Well, let's see if we fix the oscillation problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the current up to full. Because what that was doing before, when I turn the voltage up slowly, all of a sudden the current would shoot up to 5 amps and then go back down. Let's see if it's... Oh, shit. Straight away. You should have heard the sound too. And now the voltage is peaked full, even when it turned all the way down. So that just fried something. Wait, now it's working again. What? Hold on a minute. Let's try. with the voltage turned up a bit. Hey, we got 1.2 amps coming out the side that was missing current before. It's oscillation, guys. It's oscillation, I can tell you now. Let's see if we get the same here. Wow. Wow. Alright, well, now that I just did what I just did to it, let's see if all our zener voltages are still present, or did I just fry something and we've got pulled down voltages. 10, 10, still 3 something, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and 3. Drill tracking is still working. Turn the first supply up to 10. Yep, drill tracking is still working. So those op-amps probably aren't bad then, because it's literally exactly the same and the oscillations just change characteristics, and I would dare say that that's just happened because of the capacitors that I put in there. Okay then, well, negative feedback capacitor didn't seem to help. I'm still suspicious that there is something broken and it's just broken further. I mean, like a trace or solder joint. I'm thinking about reflowing everything on that top board, like where that burnt section is, because I was pushing on that last night and it was coming back. The side that's only going up to 16 volts now, it was coming back. So I'm very suspicious. I think I'm gonna go over everything on that. I won't do that on camera because that's really going to take so long. But as for this, well, there is a provision to also add a capacitor across. Did I just put that on the negative or the positive input? No, that was the negative input. Okay, I did that right. I was going to say, imagine if I gave it AC positive feedback. How to make oscillators 101. And Astro, if you're watching this, I know you're saying, I haven't watched your video yet, so I don't know if you fixed your power, your amplifier yet or not, but do not give up. As you can see, this is an absolute bitch, and it is taking me so long. But I am not giving up. Because I know if I don't give up, I'm going to have a nice power supply. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. But if I give up, all I'll have is some questionable parts. Alright, I'm going to pause the video, go do some calculations on capacitance value to stick across the inputs. I'm thinking somewhere around 100 picofarads to a nanofarad to start off with, but I'll pause the video, I'll go work that out. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've just had a look at how long this video's gone on for, and again, way too long, my apologies. I mean, what can I do when something is this tricky? But persevere. Otherwise I'd be a quitter. Like I said, I'm going to add the compensation capacitor there and there for the inputs on those amps. But I'm actually seriously considering, because you know how I said when I was pressing on it was changing, and it doesn't, I don't know, I thought it was oscillation, but now I'm starting to think maybe not. So all of this board, actually the whole board, I think I'm just going to redo every single solder joint. The reason why is because there's things I've desoldered and resoldered, and the component pins were that corroded that the solder wouldn't even take to the pin. So I wouldn't be surprised if I've got intermittent connections. So to save you guys, is that a freaking bridge? Oh, it's a reflection. To save you guys the time of watching me reflow an entire circuit board and putting in two capacitors, I'm just going to go do that, reflow this entire board, put a couple capacitors on that. We'll start at something stupid. We'll just stick 100 nanofarads in there, you know, because the oscillation's quite bad. I want to see. We'll just completely knock it out and then just move down from there. Yeah, so also that's the other thing I want to point out. I'm still going to change the current resistors for ones that are better because they've got better tempo and less inductance, but that isn't what's contributing to the oscillation. I don't believe. It could be, but I think it's more something to do with the voltage side of things that's oscillating. So yeah, I'm just gonna go reflow all this, choose, well, not choose, like I said, I'm just gonna stick a couple 100 nanodes in there, and then I'll come back and I'll make another video and we'll go from there. But this is just going on for too long, so I don't want to keep people watching too long in case it's starting to get boring. So I'll leave off for here and I'll see you in the next one. Wish me luck, because apparently I need it for this one. See you guys. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe.